the men, you gonna give men props tonight? Either one of y'all.
Who they won? Fruit. Nobody was saying it was a scrub team.
No, not at all.
Maya and I never said that. The whole thing was, are they better than the Dream Team? I never said they were gonna make it to the Olympics and just.
You can't just ignore
that.
Even Luell said boys like garbage British.
Oh yeah.
I had to put that.
But did you see their question? They almost lost. Let's not act like it didn't almost lose.
Here's the question: is anybody anticipating Russia to win? I mean, isn't that the expectation of that particular team? That they're the question always: are they better than '92? And there's no way we can prove this. So it's just, you know.
But let us not act like they blew out.
I don't think they're
España.
They're not even close.
España. Because the Gasol brothers almost really.
Yeah, they almost lost today.
Actually, though,
they almost got.
I was kind of looking forward to the story coming out when the NBA season started and Gasol wore his gold medal to the locker room and Kobe cried like a little hoe.
Yeah.
Third time I said it.
But it kind of proves what I've been saying. The world is better, though. They're just better.
I told you Spain was gonna be there.
This wasn't it Gasol and Ibaka.
They got like 6 NBA players on this.
One of the few teams that I mean.
There's 8 international players in that Olympics. So we need to find that number. There you go, right there. That's your first job. How many NBA players on the international? Well, how am I supposed to be asking this? How many?
You want to compare the two?
NBA players.
No, how many NBA players were played in '92 in the whole Olympics? Not just.
How is that, brother?
No.
Because he's trying to say that they didn't play.
The fact of the matter is, the original Dream Team had this guy called Michael Jordan, and that's it.
And there's nobody on this team.
That's it.
I mean, nobody.
You got an imposter named Kobe Bryant.
LeBron James. There's nobody on that old team like him.
So you telling me the
height,
LeBron?
And
You really think
nobody on that team would have been able to guard LeBron James?
What?
Come on. Who would have guarded LeBron?
The same person.
I'm not going to
You look at people that created brick walls under the basket?
Pick somebody. Charles Barkley in his prime, Scottie Pippen in his prime.
He'd have posted him up.
He would have ran past Scottie Pippen.
He'd have
ran past Ewing. Who is he?
Yes. These big dudes don't have footwork and quickness to stay on LeBron.
Let's just try
Scottie Pippen.
Okay, that's it.
Scottie Pippen kind of did, but he don't got the strength.
Scottie was.
This is
a lot of strength.
Don't bother. It's just wasted. Let it go. Just let it go.
Yeah. So we're doing the South, right? NFC South. I know there's a whole lot of confusion about that. I apologize for confusing everybody myself.
I was at home. I had a whole bunch of notes on the East.
Well, we'll do that next week.
And then I was like,
Save it for next week.
Okay, moving on to the. Not that I mind.
Yeah,
you know,
that's right up your alley, right?
Yeah, but only time we
talk about the 8-8 Saints. We can talk about the 11-5 Panthers.
11-5 in what universe?
They're gonna go 11-5.
No, they're not.
And did you say 8-8?
8-8.
8-8 who?
That's
Saints.
That might be.
Yeah, that might
I
be.
say 9-7.
That's a little.
That might be.
Given all the things they're going through, it might be fair.
Yeah.
I don't see it.
You think they're better than 8-8?
They have
No,
a
I think
coach.
they are going to be better than 8-8.
Come on now.
They're not.
How dare you? Why are you right?
Wow.
No, I really do.
Homework.
Really?
For the people that they lost, they made up for it. Yeah, they did.
I mean, the fact they lost their head coach was a huge part of.
I don't think that's going to have as much of an impact.
Isn't Vilma still out for the season?
No, it's up in the air.
As of now,
He's out for the season.
8-9.
I don't actually.
I think he might be out for the
I
season.
don't think he's
Isn't
out for the season.
Goodell is, judge, jury, and executioner, right?
No.
The way he been coming at him,
Not right
I don't
now,
think he's
he's
gonna
not.
play.
It's up to.
It's up to a board?
It's up to the court.
The court ain't gonna do nothing.
The court.
Ain't gonna happen soon enough.
No, but if they, yes, it will, because they have to by a certain time. And if they side with him, Goodell could appeal. But guess how long it's gonna take? A year.
Right.
So then he'll be sitting out next year. No, he'll play this year.
Right.
Are we gonna talk about the woman ref that was, and the replacement refs?
Yeah, they kind of sucked during the Bears game. That's the only game I saw.
I mean, considering that they're doing this on the fly, it wasn't that bad. It could have been a lot worse.
I did see a play on SportsCenter where the guy caught a touchback and the ball's on the 4-yard.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh my god.
That was
For real?
That's probably the biggest faux pas.
What the hell y'all doing? That's pretty much it.
Is it?
If you love sports, then you'll love Stats and Stilettos.
Earlier this week, I'm sure everybody saw the demolition for that Nigeria.
Before you get to the demolition, though, since you continuously every week compare this team.
I'm not comparing anything.
No. I just need to say what I'm saying.
Okay.
Because you're like, yeah, they could win. They compare. They don't because they almost lost.
So you're going to just totally bypass the game before that where they won by 83 points. They set the record for margin of victory. Yeah. They had the single game scoring record.
Because they turned around and almost
points
lost.
In a single game.
And they turned around and almost lost.
But they didn't lose.
To a team that nobody even had on their radar. We're not talking about Spain.
I'm going to look for the...
Hold on, real team.
Hold on.
I'm going to go to Lithuania.
Hold on, I'm going to look for the...
I don't know what we're yelling about!
Column that says almost lost. I see a column that says wins and losses. It doesn't say AL, almost losses. It says wins and losses. There's no AL column.
But you wanted to compare this team to the dream team that dominated every game. That is my point.
The dream team didn't play anybody.
Oh my God.
They didn't play anybody.
Let's agree to disagree on this because neither one of us agree with you, Farouk, about this.
Who did they play? It's all-stars in every country on these teams. Now, even Luau Dang is on that garbage Great Britain team. He's an outstanding player. He's an all-star.
So what you're saying
all y'all can do is hum and
that they almost lost to
all you can do is hum and howl when I say that the original Dream Team didn't play anybody. The players are better now that they're playing.
Loud noises!
Yeah.
Moving on. So
they won by 83 points. You don't want to acknowledge that one.
Why did you open this can of worms with him?
You don't want to acknowledge the 83-point victory. That didn't happen. Carmelo Anthony didn't get 37 points in 14 minutes. That didn't happen. They didn't set the record for the biggest margin of victory. That didn't happen either, huh? But they only won by 5 the other day. That did happen.
Okay,
but the largest margin of victory didn't happen. All those records that they set on Thursday.
What happens when Farouk gets upset?
This conversation, because here's the problem. We'll never be able to put these two teams on a floor to have them play each other. So this is all purely speculation. But the best dream team is...
I wasn't even bringing it up to say that. I was just going to acknowledge the fact that they set these records. That wasn't a great accomplishment.
I know you weren't going to acknowledge it because
this is not a headline.
It's just like when the Sox play, you only highlight the good things the Sox do, but when the Sox lose and we come on the air, you don't talk about that.
Obviously, you weren't listening to me earlier.
Him.
I balance it out.
Obviously, you weren't listening to me earlier in the show, but all I was going to do, that was a record-setting performance. We can't not talk about that.
All right, let's talk about some of the other things that happened.
We can't not talk. They won by 83 points.
All right. Okay. All right. Let's move on.
Take it easy, champ. Why don't you stop talking for a while?
Maybe sit the next couple plays out. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I'm gonna quit saying things when they crop up there in the old skull, huh?
Stats and Stilettos. Welcome to another high-powered, high-energy episode of Stats and Stilettos. Tonight, I'm Farouk Basir.
I am Ty Eileen.
And I am Maya.
We'll try to be a little more calm this week. You see, I'm already starting out a lot more calmer than I was during that because it sounded like someone's horse like double back kicked me in my mid-region last week.
You were worked up last week.
Well, you were worked up before the show started about the exact same topic, so we're going to try and steer clear of that as much as possible today.
Okay, I won't. We're putting a moratorium on that comparison. How about that? Because we got to talk about the team, but the moratorium, no comparing those two teams. I'll say that right now. How about that? Agreed?
All right.
I agree.
All right, 773-591-1690 for Stats and Stilettos tonight. You can feel free to call in, contribute to the conversation here. Coming up during the 9 o'clock hour, 9:20, we'll do our coveted headline segment. At 10 o'clock, we are scheduled to have Shannon Brown join us on the phone and talk about a lot of different things he has going on this upcoming weekend, talk about his playing days so far in the NBA. At 10:20, we'll have Damian Bell to come on and discuss the NFC South with us and break that division down. Where's Damian Bell from? What publication? Florida.
Yeah.
Orlando.
Cox radio station in St. Petersburg. He is on the station there, and he also does some other sports Line Network radio.
Okay. All right, cool. So
he covers a lot of NFC South stuff.
Okay, so we're going to do that as we continue to preview all the different NFL divisions this week as we get geared up for the season coming up in about a month. The preseason, the first round of preseason games have already been played, so we'll talk about that later on, too, in our headlines as well. Like I said, the phone number here at the station, 773-591-1690. You can listen to us online at WVON.com. Go there and click on the iHeartRadio app. You can download it on your smartphone and take WVON with you wherever you go. You can also like our Facebook page and follow the show on Twitter at
Stilettos. You left me hanging.
I know, I did. I'm sorry.
Man, pick it up.
I'll do better next week.
All right. Well, like I was saying, intro, everybody heard that, all the beef about that last week, all the loud noises and stuff.
So you want to just jump right in and talk Olympics?
Yeah, it's over, so we might as well.
It did just close.
Yeah.
I don't know what I'm going to do with myself tomorrow.
Did you really
Olympics to watch.
watched that much of the Olympics?
Yeah. I watched the most random things I've ever seen in my life over these last 16 days. Yes, I've seen water polo. I've seen handball. I've seen judo. I've seen taekwondo, which was like the most anticlimactic thing I've ever seen in my life.
More than the javelin toss or throw, whatever the heck they call it.
Yeah, it was because there was at least the javelin. It goes through the air and it lands. Taekwondo, it was like pretend kicking at each other, and they were like, "Oh, that was good point." I was like, "What happened?" I thought the purpose of martial arts was to try and like destroy.
No, they're not doing MMA, so yeah.
Yeah, I feel like I grew up on Mortal Kombat, and I was waiting for somebody to go,
finish him.
And that didn't happen. So I was like, what? How do we determine points? And the announcers were like, "Oh, she would have gotten another point if she spin kicked," and I was like, "But
I actually do know what that is. I do know what a spin kick is." The U.S. actually did really well in this Olympics. It walked away with 104 medals, with 46 being gold, 29 silver, and 29 bronze. And China was the next closest country with 87 medals. So we went back to the mother country, the colony, came back and stomped out, huh?
Hey, well, yeah, that's a good point. The track and field wasn't as exciting to me as I thought it was going to be.
Why? Why not?
Because it kind of played out how we all expected it with Usain Bolt doing his thing. It wasn't no surprises. Like I guess it would have been more exciting if he would have had a few stumbles or a stumble.
So was it not a surprise that the women's relay team set a record?
Oh no, I was getting to that. I was just saying, with the men, it went exactly how it was supposed to go. Pretty much, there was no drama to that.
I watched the relay race, the 400 meter, and let me just say, wow. That was insane. That actually the U.S. had a bad pass baton in the second part of the relay and kind of didn't get a strong start. But at the end of the day, I'm like, Usain Bolt is wrapping up the relay. This doesn't matter how bad the other team, really is. They're going to pick up. And, dude, he just left the U.S. in the dust.
It's like he had a jetpack on his back the way he took off.
And you know what's weird is he had, that Bionic Man run. Remember the open of the Bionic Man, how he had that run? I was like, that's so unnatural looking.
He probably hears music in his head.
I think he does. Serious. No, you're right. He is just, you know what? Hey, he did exactly what he said he was going to do, that he was going to make himself legendary. Mm-hmm. He did it. I don't think a lot of former U.S. track stars like it. Carl Lewis specifically wanted to kind of drop. Oh, really? You think he did it all on his own, kind of, And like you said in the pre-meeting, Ty, I'm pretty sure, like you said, when he crossed the line, they gave him a cup and said, "Now, can you give us a sample?"
Yeah.
Just to make sure that your stats, this medal you get, is legitimate. You better believe they tested him throughout the entire Olympics.
Were randomly testing people that were competing in chess. So I'm pretty sure that the people that were setting records were getting tested. The Olympics is quick to send you home if you test positive for anything. So I can't even imagine somebody that's now, granted, he was in the Olympics during a time where he may not be as familiar with testing the way it is today, but it's unfortunate that he came out and said what he said, because and Farouk said that he was like, well, what if there's something out there that can't be detected yet? Okay, well, if that's the case, every Olympian in this, what have they been calling it? The
30th Olympiad.
Yeah. Was on something. Let's test Michael Phelps. Let's test Gabby Douglas.
You kind of have to have that.
Test everybody.
That's right. So if they're all on it, then they're all on equal playing ground still. So what difference does it make?
But, you kind of have to have that cynical look at it because, baseball pretty much, not even baseball, but track from the 80s, from the late 80s brought us to this point. Before baseball's whole steroid era, track, with Ben Johnson and all those guys brought us to this thing to where you have to be suspicious. Kind of be like, yeah, well, he did drop like a half of a second off of his original time when he first started out.
It's called training.
And let's be honest, he was ordained by the track and field gods. His name is Usain Bolt, for God's sakes. He was born to do exactly what he does. Just like Michael Phelps was born to do what he did. I'm sorry. And you know what? Let's just say this. Every time Tyson Gay was in a race and came in second or wherever he came in, the look of, I keep getting smoked, was on his face every single time. Like, you could tell his frustration. That might have been why he couldn't concentrate and run well, because I think his frustration was just very overwhelming. That coming back, from the Olympics in Beijing and not being able to compete there from an injury, to have to come back to the Olympics and he knew exactly what he was up against. I think deep down inside he knew he couldn't win. I'm serious.
Or is it a look where he knows he's clean, but he knows this other guy's dirty? I'm just saying. I'm not taking a side on this, but could it be that?
Can you take your cup of haterade off the table?
Yeah, I know. I don't think that's the case. In sports, you have to, regardless of what sport you play, if you're not at the very top, you acknowledge the people that are better than you. I mean, let's just be honest. He's set records. He always wins. And if you are always coming in second to him, I mean, there has to come a time where you face the person in the Olympics and you go, God, I hope he's not here next time. Like,
but understand, there was a true hate for Usain Bolt from American track and field, period, because Michael Johnson had something to say, Carl Lewis had something to say. So that right there tells you that his talent makes a lot of other track and field greats jealous of what he can do, because everybody had something to say about him. And I think that's why, even though I feel like Usain Bolt is a little cocky, but I guess when you have people always kind of trying to throw shade on you all the time, you're like, okay, I'm going to show you what I can do. I'm going to show you better than I can tell you.
But I think it's reasonable to at least have that seed of doubt. I'm not saying that he is or he isn't, but you can't just automatically, because then you'll have this amazing shocking surprise if something comes out, and you really shouldn't, considering the world we're living in and the sports world we're living in.
Okay, that's true.
Now.
Well, then I'm going to go ahead and say that Ty and I have the seed of doubt that this current United States basketball team would be the 1992 Dream Team. That is my seed of doubt,
See,
and I
wasn't going to see.
I have so feels with it. Now,
well,
how about
we were
going
to have to talk about it anyway, Farouk, because the game came on today and they won a gold medal, so we acknowledge that. And I don't know why it seems that it keeps coming up that Maya and I never felt like they were going to win or that they weren't a good team. We just didn't care too much for the comparison.
So we can't prove anything. But they won gold. But here's the thing: if they hadn't won gold, that was the expectation, right? Going into this Olympics, is that this team should win gold, and they did. So that part, I think everybody agreed that should be the outcome. It's just the one thing we could never prove or validate is if they're better than the 92 Dream Team, which most people tend to agree with Ty and I on this. You're the only one that's like riding them like, yes, they could do it, and I just don't see that.
But still, you hear, well, the game was a little close, but they were able to. Who
Yes,
cares
well,
if the game was a little close? So what?
Because España,
the players are a little better
was
nowadays.
winning at one point.
The Ibacas and the Gasals were on today.
But the players are a little better, so they're not going to just steamroll everybody. There's certain countries that haven't caught up, but Spain, they have all-stars on their team.
I agree. That's agreeable. So. It was a worthwhile game. Yeah. At the end of the day, and at least it was something that was worthwhile, and they just didn't kind of walk and take the gold. It had climactic, type of indications to it, which made it enjoyable to watch.
Personally, I think they were kind of screwing with them. I think they gave him one of the slow death. We want to make this exciting for the fans.
I wish that the listeners could see the look on my face right now, because Farouk, you take things. See, we sit here and we agree with you. We throw you a bone, and then you take it a step further and say,
"That's what I think."
I don't think they were giving it their all. I think they wanted to give them a slow death, and then at the end they came in like mighty power men and.
Because their shot selection improved drastically in the fourth quarter compared to the first three.
It's called you take a timeout and you review what you're not doing correct. That's what good coaching does. You come back and you perform correctly. That's what's supposed to happen.
But that shot selection was bad for the first 3 quarters. They were taking those bad shots. But then when they knew when it came time to win, they were taking it to the hole more. They were being more aggressive than just settling for threes or even shooting contested threes like they were doing in the first 3 quarters of the game.
So what you're saying is you think they just toyed with Spain just to kind of make it interesting. Really? But you say, but Usain Bolt can't just run and win the race because he did.
I'm not saying yes or no to the Usain Bolt thing. I don't know what Usain Bolt. I don't know what to think. Honestly, about him, I don't know what to think.
This: he is the greatest track and field runner maybe of all time. Think that.
My question for you is, if you're throwing doubt to Bolt, are you also throwing the same doubt to Phelps, who set a record with the most gold medals?
Of any.
But Phelps kind of had a crack in his armor this year, though. He wasn't unbeatable like he was last time. Maybe it's age, maybe it's attrition.
Wait.
I don't really have.
Does he or does he not have more gold medals than any other Olympian in history? But is that not a record that you should say, oh, he might be on something?
Well, you never know. Hey, I'm not.
What I'm trying to understand is why you are focusing on Bolt.
No, I'm not focusing on Bolt at all. No, please don't get it twisted. I have doubt about everybody.
You know what?
Because
the ultimate conspiracy theorist.
No, because steroids have ruined the game I love. It ruined the history, ruined the numbers of that. So now everybody's a suspect as far as I'm concerned.
Well, other note in Olympic news, obviously the U.S. women's basketball team secured a gold medal as well.
Congrats.
Yes, congratulations to them.
So across the board, USA did well. They did well in the Olympics, period.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty much in every sport except for, it seems like, maybe, men's volleyball. They just fell to pieces. But other than that, I mean, it was fairly good, a good Olympics for USA.
I was watching earlier this week, it was on Dominican Republic against the U.S. in volleyball. Indoor volleyball. That's proof that God loves us.
On that note,
that's proof that God loves us.
Let's take a break.
Have you seen him?
Yes.
It runs in the family.
She plays.
does.
She was a lineman on her high school football
team.
That.
I believe she could take a couple fellas down.
Well, they showed highlights from high school. I said, well, all righty.
That's right. Sisters are doing it for themselves.
You don't know, baby D. You don't know. That's why you're looking at me, because you don't know, baby D. Fact, you know about all the new snacks before they even hit the street. All the bootleg snacks. Yeah, go tell me the other day, talking about Cupcake got a new Twinkie coming out next month. When you bite into it, cream filling shoot all of your mouth, glitter.
Back to Stats and Stilettos. I always get such a great laugh out of the movie clips that pop up to bring us back. Thank you, Farouk, for the laughs. Are you responsible for that?
Yeah.
What is that from?
That was next Friday.
Okay.
Oscar nominated next Friday.
Yeah. So, any hoodle. It's time for
Headlines. All right, where we starting?
I mean, I can't help but start with Chad Ochocinco Johnson.
Thank you. You have to start with
that. Was like a softball question right there.
Yeah. I was so thoroughly excited for Hard Knocks to come back on Tuesday. Mm-hmm. He had a great one-liner that said, if you stop playing, oh God, what is the game he plays? Some video game. Then she's the effing one. And here we are, not a week later. And Chad found himself in jail last night because his newly-wed wife, Evelyn, I guess Johnson now,
formerly Lozada, yes,
got headbutted after an argument after she found a receipt for condoms.
No. It was the other way around. He found the receipt in her car for condoms. Yes.
I'm about to verify that.
Yeah, because everyone is reporting that she found a receipt.
No. He found a receipt. I got that from our man Black Sports Online, Robert Little. Got that off his site.
Well, regardless. So she has lacerations on her forehead because she says that he headbutted her. Okay, here's the thing. Anybody that has ever seen one episode of Basketball Wives can tell you that she's a little cuckoo. And
I kind of like Evelyn. I'm not going to lie. I do.
I mean, well, she keeps it real, but is she not a little cuckoo? Did she not take off her shoes at a nice establishment and run across the table and pounce?
Look, she is Puerto Rican. That can go one or two ways. She can take off her shoes and her earrings, and they can scrap, or she can pull out her secret knife.
So is she or is she not capable of initiating the headbutt is my question.
Absolutely, it's possible. I mean, she's definitely very hot-tempered.
Right.
Even though you really didn't see that temperament with Chad when he was on the show with her, per se. But let's be honest. Who really thought that this union had longevity to it? They got married, like, what, July 4th?
I did not think it was going to be, something to last forever. My issue is that the Miami Dolphins made the decision to cut him today. And without any kind of proper investigation
so she cut him anyway.
Right, she still cut him. Any kind of proper investigation or ask some questions. And, Chad Johnson finds himself in the media a lot. But what does he find himself in the media for? Running his mouth. He's mouthy. He likes to hear himself talk. He likes to taunt people. He likes to tell jokes. He likes to be on Twitter and just raise all kind of heck. And that's actually how they met.
NFL.com reports it was Mr. Ocho Cinco, the former Ocho Cinco, who found the receipt for the box of condoms in his own wife's car.
Okay, so that's
We'll go with that. So
my question is that worth a headbutt?
No, it's not. It could possibly worth a little more, actually, but I'm not going to go there.
Technically, he didn't put his hands on her.
He didn't put his hands on her.
So, it's a matter of interpretation of, I need to do something to you, but I can't put my hands on her.
Right. And like I said in the meeting before we started, Chad finds himself in the news for being Chad. He's never been in the news for any kind of violence.
Sure.
Any kind of real might end up in jail or prison or something along those lines. And I'm sorry that I always seem to be the one taking the side of the men in these domestic violence situations, but I just don't see Chad Johnson all of a sudden headbutting hoes. Like, I just don't see it. I'm sorry.
Hold on, can you repeat that, please?
The word of the night
repeat that, please?
Hoes.
I'm sorry. Now all of a sudden he gets married and now he has a violent temper.
I agree. I mean, it's unfortunate. It's very unfortunate, especially given the situation. I think anybody would have some form of reaction to that situation.
Yes.
Having been married, it's a stressful. A stressful situation.
No, say it, Farouk, because I was married too, and you're right. If I would have gone for some reason, if I had picked up a receipt, and my ex-husband and I had seen that it was for a purchase of condoms, and it's recent, not like from a year ago or something. We were gonna have a conversation. I don't know. I'm not an aggressive person either, but stuff like that gets kind of.
Well,
it boils over.
I just received a text message from No Hashtag Needed that, and I quote says, "I find a receipt for condoms in your car, I'm gonna kill you." So
you be praying for a headbutt, in other words.
Right, hope you are headbutt.
You might want
get it over with.
It's unfortunate for him because really this seemed like it might have been Chad's last chance to really get back on track, get his NFL career going. Mm-hmm. Now he may fall down to the bowels of disgust as T.O. had done, and T.O. has been given a second life, or is this really a third or fourth life at this point in Seattle?
But what did you say in the meeting?
I said they both can't be playing at the same time. Somebody must be at the bottom of the pile. So as Chad falls, T.O. rises.
Yeah.
It's just, so.
And
never seen him in the same place at the same time.
Now, so it's not like he had time on his side in the first place.
But I say this about the Dolphins. I believe that it was on their mind to want to cut him, and this just became a reason to do so. Because to not have all the information, because we've seen players do far worse things and not get cut immediately.
We've seen players kill people
and not get cut immediately. So for them to cut him, just based on the information that was provided, it means it was already on the front burner for them. It was just, it made them look better in doing it. Like, you know what, this is not a good fit. Oh, here he is doing something. Bye-bye. I think it was already on their mind. So I'm not shocked. For some reason, I didn't think it was going to work out for him in Miami. It just didn't have the right feel to it. And I think there was too much going on in regards to he's getting married. They were doing reality shows. He just wasn't focused on football, unfortunately. And I'm not surprised that he's now been derailed, and now he's got to figure out where he's going to get another opportunity from.
I think he's done. Nobody's going to give him another one because he brings too much stuff. Or he might have to take a whole year off, a little hiatus,
the T.O. plan. The T.O. plan.
The T.O. plan.
You got to take some time off.
Nobody wants
to do a reality show and cry a couple times.
Go to the corner and learn your lesson.
Oh, you have to go on Dr. Phil.
You got to cry.
Yeah,
frequently in front of people.
Stats and Stilettos.
Welcome back to Stats and Stilettos here on the Talk of Chicago, 1690 WVON. Wrapping up our first hour, diving into our second hour. We discussed a little bit of everything in that first hour. Barry Bonds, the Olympics, Dwight Howard, a lot of different things we had going. So we're going to get back to all of that in a couple of minutes. So callers, hang in there with us. Right now we have a guest on the line, Shannon Brown from Maywood, Proviso, East Michigan State. He's been on various NBA teams, Phoenix Suns now, and he joins us on the line to talk about the Woodstar Music Festival coming up this upcoming weekend, August 17th through the 19th. What's going on, Shannon? How you doing tonight?
I'm great. How about yourself, man? Thanks for having me on.
Thanks for joining us. We appreciate the time. This Woodstar Music Festival, man, this is right up my alley with some of the acts you have going on this weekend. Can you tell the listeners about it?
Yeah, it's basically August 17th through the 19th. It's all about the kids, first off, and that's what I want to do. I want to give back to my community, give back to the kids. Hopefully, I'm able to give away some scholarships and some computers, to the schools and help the kids, have a better chance at a brighter future. But on the 17th, we got a VIP dinner that's sponsored by Hennessy, and that's how we're going to kick the weekend off. And then we also got an after party at Lumen. Please feel free to come join us and have a great time because it's definitely for a great cause. On the 18th, we have a concert that has my wife, Monica, has Robin Thicke, Estelle, Fantasia, Don Richard, and we also have a basketball clinic for the kids at Fosco Park also on that Saturday, and that's the 18th. And on the 19th, we have Old School Rap, which features Slick Rick, Dougie Fresh, MC Light, Naughty by Nature, Rakim, and we just trying to do a huge. Also got a celebrity basketball game that day at UIC. So it's a huge event that we're trying to put together, and we're trying to make it an annual thing. So please come out and support.
That sounds amazing. We're definitely all sitting in the studio dancing, thinking about some of those people that are performing. So have you guys already selected the kids that will participate, or how would parents go about getting their kids involved?
I think we did something over the internet, and then on www.woodstarmusicfestival.com where the kids could sign up. I think it's sold out, if I am mistaken, as far as the number of kids that can come. So everything is already in progress and in motion, and just wait for it to happen.
And is this the second year you've done this in the Chicago area?
Yeah, it is. Last year, don't even really count it because I revamped the whole situation, got a whole new team behind it, and and did it the right way this time. And I think it's going to be way more successful than it was last year. Even though last year, it was cool, this year is a whole new look.
Wonderful. Well, it got good reviews last year. A lot of people attended. They spoke highly about it. So obviously, what you've done this year sounds even better, allowing things for the kids to get involved. Definitely looking forward to kind of going out there and checking it out. I didn't get a chance to go last year, but I'm definitely looking to go in this year.
Absolutely.
Oh yeah, no, please. It's at Union Park on Randolph Street. I think a lot of people get it confused, but we out west on Randolph Street, Union Park. I think it's 1501 West Randolph, if I am mistaken. So please tell somebody to tell somebody to tell somebody to come out and have a great time. We got prizes we're going to give away for the best 80s and 90s old school dress. We doing 8-ball jackets and Kango hats. So we just
yes.
out there having a good time.
So Woodstar, tell me how you came up with the name for the music festival.
Woodstar, I'm from Maywood, and then they call the basketball court the hardwood. And, basketball was a way for me to escape, the negativity that was going on, in the street. So, I put it together like that and wanted to bring basketball and music together because those are, two of the things that helped me get away. So, I put it together like Woodstar, and, that's what I figured that I am, So it's, that's how the name of it came about.
Does your foundation do anything outside of this, or is this the main event you do for the year? Are there other activities your foundation does?
Well, I do a free basketball clinic for the kids every year. This year was the first time that I dumbed it down and only did one day, but I usually do it for a week in like the middle of July. and everything is free. They get to come out, have a great time, learn about basketball, learn about life, learn about hygiene, learn about, taking care of themselves, mental health, physical health, meeting kids that, that's around their neighborhood where they from that they don't normally get to see often. And, it's just a great time. They eat free. Everything is free for them. So I usually do that. But this year, I dumbed it down into one day, but I'm going to definitely get back to it next year.
All right, so what's your participation going to be in the celebrity game? You going to play? You going to coach? What are you doing?
No, I'm definitely going to coach. It ain't sanctioned by the NBA, so no NBA players can play. It's really, just for the people to have fun. Got guys like Rico Love and D. Brown, and we got a number of players. We got, Timbuktu. We just got people, that's celebrities that's going to come out and, show the kids a good time, show them some fun, and, get out there and, play a little bit of basketball. But if it was sanctioned, I'd definitely step out there and shoot a couple jump shots.
Okay. So let everybody know again when it's all happening so we can make our way out there, man.
August 17th through the 19th of this month. That's actually coming up real soon. So you can get your tickets at www.woodstarmusicfestival.com. You can follow on Twitter at Shannon Brown and at WoodStarFest for any information that you need. $55 for a ticket, $55 for one day, $100 for 2 days. So might as well get that package.
All right.
All right, Shannon. Well, thanks a lot, man. We appreciate you taking some time out to join us on Stats and Stilettos tonight.
No, thanks for having me. I appreciate y'all. Thank you.
Thank you. Have a good one.
That was Shannon Brown here discussing a pre-hype concert that's going to be happening next week. Rakim.
That's and the website is really nice. It's very well organized. It's user friendly. It looks good. And I remember last year when they did this, it got some good reviews from it. So looks like we have our guest back on the line, Damian Bell. How are you, Damian?
Not bad. How are you today?
Good. We're glad to have you on to kind of launch our NFC division conversation. And obviously, we're starting out with the NFC South. And I said specifically I wanted to start out talking about Tampa Bay because there's always that question mark about Josh Freeman every single year. Do you think this is the year that he really needs to show up, or will they have to look in a different direction? I mean, how much more can they go with they think he's the quarterback of the future for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers?
He possesses all the tools to succeed and become an elite quarterback in the league, and this team kind of works to all of his skills, and it's a constant actually in the NFC South. With Josh Freeman, he was a lightly touted quarterback out of Kansas State that ran the ball a lot, had to throw the ball around a lot for a losing team, and he was supposed to be the savior for Tampa Bay. And, depending on which year you looked at him, he either looked very good or very bad. And I think he'll work well in an offense that establishes the run first and then work off that with play action. And, the amazing thing about it is, when you're a quarterback in college that's known for running the ball as much as throwing the ball, you kind of get penciled in as being the type of guy that's going to run first, throw later. But he's done exactly the opposite every single year that he's been with the Buccaneers. The first year he ran around a little bit, especially in the preseason, but ever since then he's established himself as a pocket passer who will make his reads, try to use his arm and force the ball into tight windows, especially getting to his tight ends. But I definitely think this will be the year for him, and the pieces are around him now to make him shine even more.
Well, you said the word tight end, so I got to jump into that because they did acquire Dallas Clark, Hawkeye. I'm sorry.
She couldn't help herself.
I couldn't help it, David. I'm a Hawkeye. I like how that's going to help them to stretch the field. And then obviously they also have Vincent Jackson. So obviously they're giving him some tools that will allow him to be able to kind of stretch the field. I mean, do you feel these are positives for him? How does the running game kind of stack up when it's all said and done?
Right now the running game is looking good because, LeGarrette Blount was the diamond in the rough that they found, and Blount would actually be a prime NFL draft pick if he hadn't decided to just punch somebody after a football game. But the Titans lost. If the Titans loss is the Bucs gain, and he has proven to be a bit of a threat at running back. He does have his limitations, but now he's getting pushed by a lightly used rookie from Boise State and Doug Martin, who, promises to be able to do all the things that is needed out of a running back to help an offense, running the ball well, hitting the hole, blocking for the quarterback with blitz pickups, catching the ball out of the backfield. And this will push Blunt to become a more complete running back. And it actually showed in this preseason game, the limited look we got out of him, where he was able to square his shoulders and run the ball pretty well. And once again, with the Buccaneers, once that running game is established, then play-action pass opens up for them, and you see them looking actually pretty decent and not like the horrible team we saw last year.
Okay. Even though, do you have more questions about Tampa Bay?
No, you know me. I'm waiting for.
So she's waiting for the Carolina questions. That's what it's about. Yeah.
Right.
You know, when you think about cream rises to the top, you would have to think it's going to be Carolina. That is the cream of that division. You're looking at Cam Newton to his second year, Ron Rivera in his second year of coaching. Ty, run away with it.
Well,
I'll tell you before.
I'm not. I'm gonna let him go ahead and talk about Carolina. I'm definitely gonna have a lot more to say when we cross over to the boot, but
well, this will be cool. This will be real cool because, like, before I even start talking about the Panthers, the division as a whole is going to be known as the mystery division because each team in the division has that mystery of either being a lot better than we thought or a lot worse than we thought. Okay. And I'm one of the few that thinks that the Panthers will be worse than we thought. They're definitely one of the teams. Yeah, they're one of the teams on the rise in the whole NFL because of what Cam Newton did, because of their steady draft, getting some linebackers to plug in and help the defense, signing Jonathan Stewart to bolster that backfield. You know, they're three deep at running back now with Williams, Stewart, and Mike Tolbert, the big dude they picked up from San Diego. And, of course, Cam Newton can't wait to improve on his rookie season. The reason I'm not buying stock in Carolina right now is because, you know, teams have film on Newton now, and he'll either have to prove that he's going to be the pocket passer that he needs to be to really excel in the NFC, or will it be the read one time and take off and run, which teams are waiting on. I think they'll wise up to that. And after his first 4 games last year where he threw it all over the yard, teams were able to game plan better and bottle him up more where he threw more interceptions or struggled with completing drives or, you know, a few less big plays. And, you know, the team as a whole, they should be gelling together, but parts of Carolina are getting dangerously old at the wrong time. When you have a young quarterback, it helps to have veteran influence, but the veterans that they have are kind of in the December of their careers, where you have a Steve Smith that's not getting younger, but you have a bunch of young, unproven receivers who will go up and get the ball for them, but won't do it in a real big game. They had the tight end from Miami with the big mouth, and then he disappeared, and now they're bringing in some more tight ends that'll be unproven. And you'll hear tight end a lot through the year to where everybody's using them now to kind of bolster their offense to get to the next level. And if Cam Newton can prove that he can get better in his sophomore year than he did in his rookie year, he'll be great. And he proved a lot of people wrong in his rookie season by not being the project quarterback, by not struggling when everybody thought he would. But I think this is the year where he may not have a sophomore slump, but it'll be a lot tougher than he thought it would be.
All right, I think the defense is going to be more of their issue, even though some of the things you are saying are valid about the offense. Even though he did throw for more yards than any rookie, but I think their defense is going to be the thing that really hinders them. But with that being said, this division usually is the one where a team comes out of nowhere and kind of just jumps up, like Atlanta had been that a couple of years ago. And I'm kind of looking for Carolina to do that similar type of thing because the simple fact is defense isn't as stressed. Like they're pretty much trying to outlaw good defenses now in the NFL. So I can totally see 10 to 11 wins from Carolina this year.
Well, the NFC South has traditionally been the worst, the first division, where teams could look so bad one year before and then improve immediately the next year. And I directly attribute it to the last place schedule that those weaker teams usually get, and they all of a sudden get better by beating bad teams. But I just think this year it'll be a test for Cam Newton because teams will game plan him differently, maybe using a spy on defense to keep him from getting out of the pockets, or just changing up the reads where it'll be cover 2 on one side, cover 3 on the other side, and, you know, disguise their reads a little bit better. But with the division as a whole, it's like I said, it's a mystery. Everybody expects the Bucs to be horrible this year. They'll be a little bit better than anybody thought, especially with the discipline they have at head coach. And everybody's pulling for the college coach coming to the pros with a hard disciplinary stance. as the ideal coach for the NFL for the years to come. And if it does work out that way, it's going to open up a lot of jobs going from college to pro, as we had Harbaugh last year, Schiano possibly this year. And, there's a lot of guys in college waiting to get that shot to prove that they could take the rah-rah disciplinary aspect from college football to the pros. When you talk about Atlanta, the mystery with them is they're definitely one of the better stacked teams in the whole NFL, not just the NFC South, but from game to game, they take themselves out of games they should win. I mean, they cruised to the playoffs last year and then get in there against the Giants and can't score more than 2 points on offense. And, that's kind of embarrassing when you do as well as you did to even get them to the playoffs. They've got the offense. Everybody believes in cool Matty Ice at quarterback, Julio Jones and Roddy White at receivers. When your skill positions are as set as the Falcons are, you can't help but score. And now their defense has to prove that they can go through that whole division. And as pass happy as it is, they will get their test. And, with the Falcons, you just have to wonder from game to game, are they always emotionally hyped up to perform the way they need to?
When you talk about Matt Ryan, he seems to be that quarterback where you get a lot of one moment people think he's great, one minute, he's scrutinized. What's your take on him overall? Like, how do you see him performing this season?
Last year, I think they made him too cerebral at quarterback where, some of the better quarterbacks in the league, they don't even have to bother with a whole huddle because they can go to the line, audible, read here, redirect there, and make the play look easy. You've seen Tom Brady do it a million of times, throwing over the middle. You've seen Peyton Manning flap his wings and fly like Patti LaBelle and make it look easy. And they tried that with Matt Ryan, where he would go to the line. They'd come out of the huddle in 3 seconds, and they would spend 17 seconds at the line, check, read here, kill, setting up plays here. They would check in and out of plays so much that a lot of times they would outthink themselves at the line, and boom, kill drives right there. And a lot of times their game was so simple when they could just hand it off to Turner, get good yards, bring in Norwood, hand it off, get good yards, set up play action pass, and get those big receivers involved that could just jump up and catch anything. And like I said, when you go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
When you got an offense like Atlanta that's got skill position X receiver, skill position Z receiver, skill position tight end that's been doing it for years, 3 deep at running back that can all break and go for the big score, quarterback that's highly touted that can throw to all of these people and get them involved. You're not supposed to have bad games from week to week.
So
all right, I don't believe Atlanta until they win a playoff game.
Yeah, and moving on to the team that really matters, the New Orleans Saints.
The New Orleans Saints.
It's really all
the
that
New
matters
Orleans
right
Saints.
now.
Everybody expects them to fall flat on their faces this year because of their off-season drama. And, when you analyze the situation, for the whole year, they're going to lose their emotional, fiery head coach. They're going to use the guy used to back him up to be the assistant head coach for half the season. And then the coach after that, we don't know who that's going to be. Then they lose their GM that's supposed to be their boss. Then they lose their quarterback of the defense for the whole year. Outside of that, they're not affected at all. And if you get
really?
I don't necessarily see. Everybody just seems to think that they're going to come in here and they're going to, fall apart completely. I don't see that happening.
I see them.
Well,
I need to understand why everybody.
I see 8-8. I just see 8-8.
Which at least that's even. But other people are saying, way worse than that, and that's a big pill to swallow when you're a Saints fan.
The best thing I saw about the Saints, and I hope they do it during the year, is, they're another team when I talked about how deep Atlanta is at their skill positions, star receiver here, superstar tight end here, great running back here. When New Orleans played their first preseason game in the Hall of Fame game, and, rarely do you, foresee what the regular season will be based on that first preseason game, but I saw New Orleans move the ball up and down the field at will without using Graham. Jimmy Graham, the big tight end from Miami that took the league by storm last year.
Absolutely, yes.
Didn't use him at all. didn't use them at all, and they're 4 deep at running back. They got all 4 running backs involved with the first team and moved the ball at will. If New Orleans decides to just fool everybody and run the ball and then put it up when they need to because they know they can, they'll shake up the whole league.
What do you think is going to happen with Jonathan Vilma?
The NFL will find some kind of weird way to have him accept maybe a 6 to 8 game suspension, and it's such a mess how. Yeah, it's such a mess because they have all of this point-blank period proof. They got all of these coaches and GMs dealt with the Saints, but can't stick to any of the players. And the strange thing is I don't see how they can make it stick to any of the players because they say, you took money for this hit or you paid money for this hit. All they have to say is, I follow what the coaches said. If I don't follow them, I get cut. Then what do you do for me? So for the coaches to accept their suspensions and not bark, not scream, not do anything, just go away, but all the players cry foul, there's something incomplete there. But once again, when you're Goodell and you come into the league as the big hammer trying to straighten out the league, you know, this is probably the biggest problem I have with Goodell running the whole NFL right now, and the Saints are going to be the team that probably breaks his back. When he came in, his stance was to clean up the bad boys in the NFL. You know, if I put this death penalty on Pac-Man Jones, it'll serve as a deterrent to the whole league to not act up. Have the bad boys stopped acting up in the NFL? No. Have teams stopped acting up in the NFL? No. Have coaches? No. Have GMs? No. So,
but you have to look at this and say, this has put a lot of people on notice. This was a big deal of how they treated the situation, not to mention the Saints were forewarned by him before this even went down. We heard this was going on. You better knock it off. And for them to not respect that warning, I think he handled it the way that he needed to handle it. I think other teams will think twice about this. I mean, the punishment was grave.
Once again, you know, say you're in elementary school and you got the little so-so teacher in class that's not too hard, not too soft, but they take the day off and the substitute teacher comes in and you ride that substitute teacher like every substitute gets. You just act up, act a fool, just go crazy. And then the replacement comes back in, or the real teacher comes back in and says, you will not do this again. If you do this again, I will blow your head off. You will not make it to high school. That's supposed to make these kids never do it again. But when the next substitute teacher comes in, same thing happens again. You know, that's what I'm seeing with Goodell in the NFL. He's doing all of these things that makes it seem like you will die if you act up in my league, and player after player keep on doing it. They keep doing it. They keep doing it.
All right, Damien, tell everybody. I'm sorry, go ahead. Finish your thought. No, go ahead.
Well, the only thing I left out with New Orleans is the defense, and that'll probably be the surprise of the league where they actually perform 15 times better than anybody thinks, because the supposed thing that really hurt, that was supposed to hurt the Saints with these suspensions, is losing their leader on defense, losing their head coach or the coach of the defense, which moved on anyway, and then getting Spagnuolo in, who's supposed to be so steady and so strong, but he's not even going to be the head coach once all of this happens. Losing the defensive backs that were in there, like Sharper and Harper and all of the guys that, you know, brought the pain. You know, we got to figure out if they can stop the pass that they'll be seeing all year, or if teams will just run the ball at will on them. And I don't know the answer to that yet.
All right, Damien, tell everybody where we can find you, where they can find you at on the internet and things.
SportslineRadio.com, and I'm working on a new internet TV show called Jack Sports TV, where you know, me and my boys get to be talking heads. It's kind of like the sports geniuses in a sports bar setting, just kicking it with regular guys. And
I need to drop in. I need to drop in on that.
Oh no, you need some females.
I need to come to that so I can shake
well,
it up.
It's in the developmental stages, and trust me, and I'm saying it right now in front of the whole world, I'd much rather be on the traditional broadcast mediums with radio and TV, trying to kick my little knowledge and just impressing people, rather than depending on the old .com connection. But everybody claims that internet radio or broadcasting is the way to go. I'll believe it when I see it, but I'm trying it anyway.
Hey, go with it.
All right, Damien, we appreciate your time, man. Thanks for giving us the knowledge.
Have a good evening.
Yep, thanks, Damien. Bye-bye.
That's Damien Bell breaking down the NFC South for us, and more stats and stilettos after this. All right, it's time for our tip.
Ladies, it's time for the Sports Chick tip of the week.
All right, ladies, it's football season. It hasn't officially started, but we're talking about it. Preseason games are happening. Players are getting cut for not playing or for ending up in jail. The tip today is fantasy football. Absolutely helps you get into the game, whether you pick a team or not. Fantasy football is about picking players, not teams. Well, defense, but not the entire team.
Right.
It makes you pay attention because you could be rooting for one defense, but have a player on the offense that you need to make a touchdown. It just makes you get more involved in the game. You can compete against people for money, for items such as, I know people that play for bottles of Crown.
Stilettos.
I would play for shoes. That's a great idea.
I play fantasy football for shoes.
We should start a league and the winner should get shoes.
That works for me.
Yeah, we'll have to think about that. But I absolutely suggest that this year you join a league. Everyone has them, whether you know the people or not. You can get online, join Yahoo Sports Fantasy League, or
ESPN.
One at your job, or start one with your significant other. See who wins.
That's right. I like that.
We're not going to do that at my house, though.
Couples fantasy football.
Couples fantasy football. But it helps you get into the game, so I highly recommend that you get involved in fantasy football this year. It'll help you understand the game more. It'll get you more involved.
We'd like to send thank yous out to Shannon Brown for joining us to talk about the whole Woodstock Music Festival thing popping next weekend. Also, thank you to Damian Bell for giving us the NFC South breakdown. We appreciate all that. We appreciate all you listening tonight. Thanks to the staff. I'd like to thank Alexis Wolford for running the show in there. Oh, yeah, for giving the female co-host of the show these big old salads they were munching on here.
Rabbits.
Yep. Thank you to Tamia Baker. Thank you to Robert Chapman. Thank you to Malcolm Rockhold, who I wasn't really feeling too much of what he was saying tonight, but no. Thanks to my man D on the cameras. Way to the cameras, everybody. Say peace. Check out next week, Stats and Stilettos. Come see us Friday night, Country Club Hills Theater. It's going to be popping.